If you're running a business and you're struggling with your sales, or if you actually work in sales and you're looking to improve your performance, then this video is for you. Because today we're going to talk about my top 5 sales fundamentals. Now these apply to any business, in any sector, any product, anywhere in the world. And I guarantee you, if you get these right, it's going to put you ahead of 90% of your competition, 90% of your peers, and is going to supercharge the performance of both you as an individual and that of your business. Now, there'll be a lot of people out there giving you hints and tips and hacks, and there's book after book and seminar after seminar about sales techniques and tactics. And you know, many of those are really valid and are all very applicable, but it's essential that you get the fundamentals right. And for me, these 5 things we're going to talk about today are absolutely key to any business. And if you don't get these right, then layering everything else on top is going to be pretty irrelevant. Now let's get in there with fundamental number 1. Now this is something that is often very overlooked in the sales process, and you know, a lot of the time for business owners it's very tough for them to be honest enough to actually realise this is the problem. But fundamental number 1 is your product. You've got to go right back to the beginning, ignore the sales process altogether, and take a long, hard, honest look at your product. Because the bottom line is, if your product is shit, then it does not matter how good your sales techniques, how good your sales process. If people don't want to buy it, they're just not going to buy it. You know, yes, there's plenty of tactics and techniques and methodology, you know, to bring along more customers, or to push customers that are, you know, on the fence over the line. But the bottom line is that in today's world, you cannot make people buy who do not want to buy. Like I say, this is going to take a real serious degree of honesty. But if you are struggling with your product sales, then actually take that step back and have a look and think: is it actually your sales process? Is it actually your staff who are selling the product, or is the problem actually more fundamental than that? That the product is just not what people want to buy. And maybe it's not a complete lame duck. Maybe there's tweaks and things that can be done with it to actually make it more appealing. But go right back to the beginning and take a look at your product. Now, obviously that's said in the context of business owners, but if you're a salesperson and you're working in an organisation, or you're looking to go and work in an organisation, it's absolutely crucial that you take a look at the product that you're going to be selling before you even start to worry about the package and the job and the role and, you know, the perks and everything else. Because if the product is crap, you know, and it's not what people want to buy. And by product, I'm not just talking about the actual, you know, the physical product, the widget, whatever it is itself. I'm talking about the entire buying experience. You know, the after sales service, the sales process, you know, the way the people in the business behave with customers, the brand, everything else. You know, if that product is not something that people want to buy, then I think you need to seriously reconsider whether or not the business that you're working in is the vehicle that you should be in for your sales career. Fundamental number 2 is another P, and that's pipeline. Now, one of the biggest questions I always get asked in sales is, you know, what tips or techniques can I give someone to be able to close every customer every time? And you know, the reality is, it is just impossible. There are always going to be customers who do not want to buy, who do not want to be closed. And the problem for the salespeople there is that they're looking they're looking at the end of the process as opposed to the beginning. You know, so many things in life, you know, if not most, you know, really start with the preparation, the work that goes into the beginning. You know, the beginning of the process, the beginning of the life cycle, than what can be done at the very end, you know, to correct something that's broken, or to make something happen that is, you know, that is fundamentally probably not going to happen. If you talk to a property developer, you know, they'll tell you that they make their money not when they're selling the properties, but when they buy it. You know, they've got to buy it right at the beginning. Or if you talk to a lender, you know, they'll tell you that they make their money not when they're collecting the money at the back end, but when they've made the loan in the first place. You know, the preparation, the due diligence that's gone into it, you know, to make sure that all the fundamentals are right and that they can almost quantify their profit from the outset. And it's very much the same with sales, insofar as your biggest focus has to be on the creation of your pipeline. you've got to put the effort in at the beginning. I mean, I'm not one for cliches, but obviously, there's the old adage of your network is your net worth. I think very much with pipeline, I'd like to say your pipeline is your future bank balance. Once you understand the metrics of your product, the metrics of your business, your closing rates, your margins, etc., you can actually back work that all the way to the beginning and quantify how much money you're going to make down the line by understanding how big your pipeline is at the beginning. But everything comes down to putting the effort in at the beginning to create that pipeline. Creating it with cold calls, with networking, with emailing out, with referrals, with partnerships. Whatever the methods are to get a big fat pipeline. But if you have only got 2 or 3 or 4 prospects, in the pipeline, then when you get to the very end and you're struggling to close 1 or 2 of them, or maybe even all 3 or 4 of them, all of a sudden, your closing ratio is down to 20, 10, possibly 0%. And the problem isn't necessarily in those individual customers or in the process itself. The problem is the effort hasn't gone in at the beginning, and you haven't got enough prospects there to be having a crack at. So that's fundamental number 2. So we've got product, we've got pipeline, and number 3 is also another P, and that is product knowledge. Now, in today's world, customers are so well informed. There's nothing more irritating as a customer or embarrassing as a salesperson as speaking to a salesperson or someone from a business who does not understand 100% the ins and outs of that product. The research that a lot of customers can do, or a lot of prospects do online now, they come into a conversation with a business, or with a salesperson, armed with so much knowledge that they actually probably know more than the salesperson themselves. And that is just a situation you cannot allow yourself to be in. There's nothing that kills a sales process more than lack of credibility, lack of knowledge from a salesperson. So if you're a salesperson watching this, you need to make sure that you absorb absolutely everything possible about your product, your process, your marketplace, any kind of questions that could come up in relation to your product. And like I say, it's not just about your specific product, but about the whole sales cycle, the whole market in general. So you need to know your competitors. Who are the companies that are your competitors? What are the competitive products against you? Know as much about those products and those situations as you do about your own. You've got to have the knowledge to be able to have very detailed, coherent conversations with your customers and be able to answer every possible question they could ask. Now, that's not to say you're going to bullshit your way through it and pretend you can answer every question. There's always going to be situations where the answer might be, I don't know, but I'm going to get back to you. But they hopefully have to be the rare occasions, and you have to be able to have the knowledge to be able to hold your own against any customer who's out there. And if you're a business owner watching this, the answer to all this is training. If you have not got constant ongoing training, both product training, technique training, etc., as an integral part of your business and what you're doing with your staff, then not only are you letting your staff down, you're letting yourself down, and ultimately you're setting yourself up to fail. Now, fundamental number 4, we're off the P's and we're onto an R, and that is relationships. Now, having said that, I don't want to use cliches. I'm going to use the second one in this video already, which is the old adage, the old expression that people buy from people. And that could not be any truer today. And I don't really see it being any different at any point in the future either. Unless your product is a generic widget that's sold online with 0 human interaction whatsoever, then the success of your sales is going to be in direct proportion to the strength of your relationships with your prospects and with your customers. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be knowing them for 10 years and going out drinking with them 3 times a week. But it means you have to have maintainable relationships with these people, even if that's by email or by telephone. But you have to be building relationships so that your prospects get to know you, get to like you, and want to do business with you ahead of the competition. And that brings us to fundamental number 5, which is the last one in this video. And there's not a P and it's not an R, it's actually a C. And that is care. Now listen, this may sound super new age and airy-fairy, arty-farty, but I cannot tell you how different your business, your sales process, and your success is going to be if you genuinely care. Now, you can't fake caring. You actually do really have to care. But if you care about your product, about the business, about the staff, about the customers, about your customers' happiness and wanting to do a good job, then you're going to find that everything else naturally falls into place. If you really genuinely want to do a good job, if you really care about your customers' happiness from that product, and that you've solved their problem and their success of using that product, whatever it may be, then that is going to bring a whole new dimension to your sales process, to your attitude, and your customers are going to see it in a way that cannot be faked by anyone else. Certainly not your competitors. So there we have it, the 5 fundamentals of successful sales and successful business: product, pipeline, product knowledge, relationship, and care. If you get those right, the building blocks, the foundation of any business in any sector selling any product, and I guarantee you, you're 90% ahead of your competition, and you've really got the building blocks for success there. Hope you enjoyed the video. For anyone who watches this on YouTube, please make sure you press subscribe down below. I get a lot of positive comments from you guys out there, saying that you like a lot of these videos and like a lot of this content, but not enough of you subscribe. So please subscribe to the video, tell your friends, press share, comment, like, do whatever. And if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about in the future, please write a note below, send me an email, send me a message online. And if you don't like anything I've said in these videos as well, please comment below. I'm always up for a bit of friendly debate. So until next time, see you soon.